Bro said, "Ah man, I didn't even bring enough drink for this." Welcome to another episode of Gumpla and the Goonies, sponsored by Grandfather Goose, get your looseness all on this side over here on this town. We miss you, Goosey. Hope you're doing well. But we got a special guest. But I'm gonna let him come in last. Save that beautiful beard for the end. But another guy with a beard I like is Muggs. What it do?
Hey guys, what's up? I'm stoked to be here for this episode. I'm excited.
I know. I have a question before we get to Steve. Are you taller than our guest, or is he taller than you?
I'm taller.
Oh yeah,
I'm 6'7",
Giant.
apparently.
Goddamn, John, you are, bro. I
keep
told you,
telling
bro.
everybody
I
that
seen
shit.
She will believe me too. That's the best part. Steve, my guy. I see you working hard over there. What you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good, man. I'm really happy to be here. Excited for the episode. I'm missing Goose extremely a lot right now. We were saving Super Earth last night, so...
Is that what do they call it? Super Earth?
Yes.
Oh,
So shout out to
sounds like a trip.
my fellow Helldiver.
In the arms of the angels, fly away. And without further ado, we know him as Ricky, that man with the stiffy, all right? That's my guy, you know what I'm saying? But you may know him as that man, the myth, the legend, HoskinHouse. What it do, my guy?
what's up? It's good to be back again. Hey, I feel like a VIP. I'm like a repeat guest. I was like,
let's go.
I'm like Tom Hanks on SNL to just keep coming back. I don't know.
Yes.
It's awesome to be here. Really. It's been a heck of a week. Just riding the high from ODO and follow it up with the Goonies. It's like dessert, you know.
A little bit of
I hope we're a
dessert at
good
the end
one,
of the week.
though. I hope we're like at least like a 4-star, maybe like 3.5. I'll take 3.5.
Oh, creme brulee.
saying.
Creme brulee.
Oh, dang.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say we're like a hostess.
Crusty
Just
on
a couple
top,
of
you know, but
snacks
creamy and
thrown.
smooth, you know, down deep.
Aren't we all?
Oh my god, this is perfect. Well, I want to thank you for coming back on, giving us your wisdom and your time, because definitely we are pumped for this episode. Obviously, you hit the nail on the head. ODO. Obviously, Muggs, we'll talk about that gold breadwinner over there. But what does ODO mean to you? Obviously, you've been doing this for a while. You live 20 minutes away, so you know what I'm saying, we ain't putting locations out there, but the fact that you get to experience
It's
it,
Delaware.
like,
We're in Delaware.
we're in Delaware. we're in Delaware. Location, pen, thank you. But what does it mean? Like, how is like this experience, like, I guess, like, changed this hobby for you?
Well, it's there in 2020, with the pandemic, like everything else, like you could only be online. It was Instagram, there's a few outlets to connect with people, but it was all through the internet. So ODO to me represents what is the heart of the hobby in the community, which is coming together, because it's one day a year. If you go to ODO or whatever your local big event is, or your regional big event, it's that one day a year that you actually like meet up with all the people you talk to on a daily or a weekly basis, and it's undescribable, because it's just something that you look forward to, because it's a special day to just hang out and like talk to all the people that you talk to all the time, in the ether, on the world of the internet, but they're real people, and
Right.
they're right there in front of you and just hanging out. It's priceless. To me, ODO is that coming together of the community that you only get in person. Being on the internet and doing all that's cool, but meeting in person, there's nothing like it. You just can't beat the camaraderie of like hanging out, chatting it up. It's amazing. Like I can barely remember the day, because it's just, I talk myself to the point where like I don't have a voice by the end of the day, and I don't talk to anybody ever that's not in my house. I mean, like I just don't. Like, I'm just not a super social person, but I go there and I like light up like a candle. I'm just, because you already know everybody, like you do, like you know them, but it's like you show up and you're already friends with all these strangers around you. it's super special.
So it's a place where everybody knows your name.
Exactly.
Awfully glad you came.
Yeah, they're all glad you came.
Let's go. Let's go. Listen, I'm old enough to know. Muggs, you got to experience it as well. And like obviously, I think me and Steve can experience it as we and him, we saw each other that one good time, got breakfast and French fries, paid for my nuggies. But like, I definitely can see what you mean. But Muggs, how did you feel about it? Like, especially when you got to see the legend himself, Grandfather Goose. Like,
Dude,
that had to be an experience.
To like add on to what Ricky was saying, like it is cool to meet all these people from the online space. It's a lot harder to cyberbully them in person, so it's like pretty cool. It's pretty chill in that sense. But no, I mean just mirroring everything Ricky said, and then also just like last year I think it was a little overwhelming for me, and I also had like this whole mindset of like, let's get Goonies content, let's interview people, and then it was very overwhelming for me in a positive way. But this year, man, I soaked up a lot more outside Gumpla stuff, and really like my brain has been just on fire since I left there on like, I want to do machine Krieger stuff, and I want to do a car, and I want to do all these other like amazing things that I saw there. So like not only is it just like a great place to meet all these peers in your hobby, it's also just like turn your inspiration like mindset up to 11 and just soak in all the other stuff, because it isn't just Gumpla.
Right.
It's Gumpla is a pretty small component of it, and
Yeah.
especially outside of the planes. Planes, there's like fucking 5,000 of them. But no, I mean
half
it's
the
just
show.
it really is.
It really is.
But even that was cool. I mean, dude, there's like plane models there. I never would have given them the time of day outside of this hobby. But then when you're there and you see some of the intricate details that they put, like they use like line that is thinner than fucking fishing lure stuff. Like I legit am like, did they just get a spider to like cross from like the tail to the cockpit? Is that how they got this
Charlotte's
like little
Web.
thread?
You got Charlotte's Web over there. Like, yo, Charlotte, I need you. Clock in.
I mean, it's super inspiring, and it's just like, and it's also cool to see the different levels, because like I was chatting with this little girl that was probably my daughter's age, a little bit younger, but she had this Masquerade Zazabi up, and like, yeah, it was just a straight build, but dude, she was so proud of it, and I was just like chatting with her, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, and so to be able to see from fucking gold winning standard to like, look how proud I am of my first Gumpla, or like my first model. It's just so cool, man. It's fun.
Hell yeah, man. Steve, did you want to throw anything on there? Obviously, I know we're ODO virgins here, so we can't speak upon the glory that it is. But have you experienced or seen anything that you were like, damn, like I want to throw my aerial on the table?
I do not want to throw my aerial on the table. But no, dude, I really do want to go. I would just like to find some competitions in general, man. Like there's like apparently one show coming up.
Yeah.
I think it's next month in Michigan, but we don't even have, like, we legitimately don't have shit here. Like, from my knowledge at least. Like, I think our closest GBWC contest is in Ohio. Like, so, I don't know.
How did Ohio beat you out for that? Come on.
I don't know, dude.
How far are you from Wisconsin? Like
A
long way.
Probably like 5 hours.
That's not bad.
Probably
That's
about
where
5, yeah.
that's where nationals are this year. Madison, Wisconsin.
Really?
In July. Yeah.
Oh, Steve, show up, bro. But to get the crossbone cloak on and just show up at the door.
Listen, if you see me with a cloak on, I got a whole nother mindset going on. So you don't want that.
You're at the wrong convention center.
Yeah, dude. I'm playing Helldivers IRL. That's gonna be a problem.
These bugs. These bugs.
Fucking bugs.
Helldiver sponsor us, thank you. Honestly, bro, I would definitely want to go now that I'm like slowly becoming a painter, so to speak. Shout out to all those people that give me free shit. We won't drop no names yet, but we got a compressor, baby. We got airbrushes. I'm about to be in there, Spray Master Matt, laying it down. HoskinHouse, bro. Any tips or tricks that you do that you would recommend to a newbie like me? Especially like with the overwhelming amount of paints, materials, steps, processes. What do you do that, like, even just two things that you simplify that are like, you know what, like, I could give this to a beginner and they can see this 10 times down the road work out for them?
As far as starting out painting,
Cause I see you be cooking behind the scenes, especially with even your non-Gunpla material as well. Listen, you ain't low, bro. I've been scoping the IGs, all right?
Well, dude, man, it's with airbrushing. You got to start with a paint. Pick one brand.
Okay.
Work with that paint until you figure out how to thin it, how you get it to flow and lay smooth, level, thick or thin, however you want it. But don't branch out until you figure out how you want that one paint to go. Because a lot of people, they're unhappy with a product, so they just jump off of it onto another product and then onto another product. And they don't ever take the time to like figure out what's going wrong, because it's a science to all of it. And so if you're like, now there are exceptions to this rule. There are exceptions. But get a user-friendly paint that most everybody in the community will be like, oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, Mr. Hobby, Tamiya paints, Splash paints, SMS paint, something that's pre-thinned. But just keep using it until you get it right. And it may take you 1-2 builds, and you may get it right after doing one leg. It's just, that's my big tip. Like, don't give up. Like, so many people will give up so easy. It's like, you are literally probably like one session away from perfecting it. Airbrushing is not hard. It's a tool. And so you've got to learn how to use the tool. And there are all kinds of parameters how to set that tool up. There's different tolerances. There's different things you can do with it. But it's a tool. And at its most basic form, just make it do its job. Like, you want to take this paint and you want to spray it. And you want that paint to stick to what you're spraying it on. That's it. Like, there's nothing mysterious about it. So just don't give up. Like, believe in yourself and just remember it's a tool. Now, that being said, certain paints are going to be better at certain things. Certain airbrushes that cost more money are going to be better. Like, of course, all those are factors, but if you set yourself up with decent equipment, start with a quality paint that most people would agree is a quality paint, and just work with it. And start simple, like grab yourself an HG, grab yourself an SD, grab yourself an Intrograde. Pick 2 colors. Like, don't like, oh, I'm going to do a Splinter camouflage with a winter whitewash and like no. Grab yourself.
Winter coming soon.
Grab 2 colors and, spray those 2 colors until you get it right. Like, it's not rocket science, but it is science. Like, you've got to figure out, everybody sprays a little different. It's how far away is your airbrush from the part? What's your air pressure set at? How much is it thin to? What size needle is on there? Like, all of those are factors. But knowing how to use I'm not going to spray the same way somebody else does. So that affects how the paint comes out. It affects how thick it is, how thin it is, all of those things. You've got to figure out your style and don't give up until you do. That's my suggestion. Like, stick with it.
I think that's super important too, to like, because I feel like you get a lot of really good advice, and I'm not saying not to take that advice in, but what he was saying is great, because a lot of times people will be like, oh, it's 17.5 psi and 1 part paint to 3 parts thinner. That's the only way it's going to work. And it's like, I mean, I've gotten a ton of great advice like that, and then I've tweaked it and made it mine and been like, okay, this works. So don't definitely take advice on the details that people are giving you, but then, don't be afraid to like mess within those parameters to see what works best for you. Because it could even come down to like weather, man. Like, you could be in a place that has more humidity than somewhere, where you get that advice from, or so yeah, I mean, just to kind of piggyback off of what Ricky was saying real quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of good baseline information. It's like, here's a good starting point, but it's just that. It's a starting point. Because how long you linger as you're going across the part, pulling that trigger, it could be a split hair second different from somebody else, and it's going to change the way that paint lays on there because it's too thick or too thin. But it's just so many factors. Just you have to keep working at it, and it's not hard. Like I think my first airbrush job, it wasn't terrible. You know, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I just took my time, and by the time I finished the kit, like in one build, I had went from not knowing anything to having at least a decent working knowledge of like, well, I know what not to do, and I know like this kind of works. So next time I'm going to try this. Still didn't work great, but you know, each time, and it didn't take long, a couple of months. You know, I was
stacking him.
Yeah. And then too, it's just you never be comfortable. Just keep learning. Like I keep trying new things. I just want to keep trying, and you become good with that tool. That's how you become good with that tool. Is like you just keep pushing yourself to like try different stuff. So it's like, oh, I've never tried shading before. Let me try that. Oh, I've never tried post shading before. Let me try post shading. You know, like, there's a million different things you can do. There's all kinds of genres, like you were talking about. It's not just gunpla. Like if you look at the figure painters at these competitions, they're probably the best artists in the show. Like they're literally just taking a static statue and just painting it. You know, it's unbelievable. And they're using all kinds of techniques: airbrushes, hand painting. I mean, pigment powders, like you name it. Like they're putting that into it, and it's just from trying it.
Steve, I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback off. It also save you a ton of money if you just don't keep buying paint brands and trying new stuff, man. Yeah. That is my problem now, dude. I have a shelf in my, like, wherever my spray room is, and dude, I've got so many different paint brands now, and I don't even touch half of them. Like, I pretty much am only sticking on, like, SMS and fucking Gaia Notes now. Like, and I just kept buying paint and trying different shit, and it was like I was getting nowhere with it. Now I'm pretty comfortable where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get more comfortable with my airbrush because I'm like sticking with just Gaia Notes and SMS. So like it's a lot easier for me to paint now instead of where I'm like, oh, this sprays at a better PSI here. Like I'm glad I have that knowledge now, but I've wasted so much money on shit I'm never gonna touch again. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like if you stick to one product that you know is a good product, you'll find all those little subtle nuances of things you can do with it, because as soon as you start flip-flopping between different brands, like you've lost any knowledge you've gained because now you're starting over on a different product. So you don't have any inside knowledge to that product. So the more you use it, the more you know, oh, I can tweak it a little bit this way or that way, or I can mix these two colors, and you know, if I put this color before this color, it shifts this, and all those little things that are just, it's building knowledge. And using that one brand or two brands that you stick with helps that. That's not to say don't try new stuff, but it really helps you become better at your craft.
Well, I think once you're comfortable, you're good to shift out. Right. Like you can be like, okay, I feel I'm comfortable now. I can spray this at any point. I really want to try a couple of these Mr. Hobby colors, and you go, okay, well, boom. You know what I mean? And just learn that, and then it's like just more stored knowledge.
That's exactly what I did. I just started with Tamiya acrylics, and I got really comfortable with them, and then jumped to Mr. Hobby, got really comfortable with them, and then got lazy, and now I'm just doing pre-thin paints in those, especially depending on the brand. But man, shout out to SMS, and more specifically Splash, dude. I feel like I can't make a mistake with Splash paints, man. I'm just like...
But okay, Wizard Mugs, bro. This ain't nothing to me, man.
Yeah, that's not Splash though. But no, I mean, that's and I think Steve totally nailed it, man. It's like once you do get comfortable, then it's like that. Then you're in that great place to like branch out and try those other things. It's fun like that, man. It is cool.
All right, so I also wanted to, obviously. We're going to jump back in the ODO because that is the high of the life right now for a lot of people. We wanted to bring into some questions, since you are the guru that is Captain HoskinHouse. Muggs, I know one of them over here is saying, what do you think sets your model apart from the others at the competition? Or something that you try to do. And that goes for you too, Muggs, since you entered as well. Yeah, you thought you were getting away
Don't act like you didn't get a medal, Muggs.
Exactly. First off, exactly.
I tried to steal it from you, but
gold.
It was just like the second they were calling first place, Ricky comes over. Hey guys, hey, don't pay attention to the man on the mic.
I have a beard. He has a beard. Why? I'm him.
I had it all set too. My plan. I was like, it's the last category. I'm gonna sneak up there when they're done. And be like, yeah, did you call this? Yeah, that's me. I was going for 5, and you shot my dreams, Mugs.
Yes. All right, at least I got that.
I'm sorry.
yeah,
What was the question?
What do you think sets your models apart from your competition? Not to obviously I don't think you would dog any other anything else on the table, but what do you think kind of like catches the judges' eyes more on your work and drives them to you more?
Besides you being a gym.
Well, that's an interesting question because I have what I think it is, but I also have judges' feedback, and I think a lot of people are catching on to like it's okay to ask the judges in a polite way why you did or did not place, or why you got second instead of first, or third instead of second, and it's good feedback as a modeler to know. Okay, mine I thought was as good as this one. What did y'all look at specifically? And so in talking to the judges, I know that like what they're mainly looking for and what I strive to do, and I think does set it apart, number one thing they're always looking for is consistency. From head to toe on that model kit, did you make it as consistent as possible? Or is your paint coverage consistent? First of all, the thickness, the thinness, no matter if you spray it thin or thick doesn't matter, but is it consistent with itself? Unless there is a reason that it's, so there is some times where you're doing it different, metallics versus like certain things, you may do it different, but consistently overall as a model does it work. I really, really, really take the time to concentrate on consistency. I have a lot of techniques that I employ when I do a model, but consistency is at the top of my, checklist. When I'm doing a model, I used to do it in sections. I would do the legs, and I would do the torso, and I would do the arms. I don't do that anymore. And I think what's allowed me to, and I don't want to sound pompous, but like for my stuff to kind of rise closer to the top, is that I take the whole model apart, and I paint everything at one time. So if I'm painting a certain color, I'm doing all the parts in that color at one time so that I can literally look at all those parts before I take that paint out and make sure they're all consistent with one another. Because nobody wants to go back a week later and reload a color, particularly if it's custom or you've shaded it and have to reshoot a color, is a nightmare. And like then you're not having fun anymore. Then it's like, oh gosh, I got to do this.
Right.
And that's the number one thing they're looking for. So I just take the time from the beginning to make sure that every single color I have is matching itself. Secondly, I always lay out my color schemes. I don't ever go into a build blindly. Some people do, and that's fine. That's part of your creative process. For me, I always know my colors. Sometimes I tweak them a little bit as I go because you don't totally know what a color is going to look like till it goes down on that particular model sometimes. Does that make sense? Like the lighting is different.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't look like you think it's going to look, and you have to like adjust. So be willing to do that. Don't fully commit to be like, no, this is what I picked and that's what I'm doing. So that's number one. Number two is I get a lot of compliments on the shading of my models, and not because of certain aspects. Well, I should say the main aspect I get is like is a subtlety to the shading, but also like just not a drastic shading. So a lot of models like are very contrasty, and I think that's off-putting to some people, particularly judges, because they're looking at a contrasting shade job, which can be a bit harsh to the eye, versus like a subtle shading job, which is actually a more naturalistic look. Like in the world, things have highlights, they have shadows, they have all the tones in between. So that's what I try and replicate. So when I'm looking at shading, I'm doing a lot of post shading. So I'm laying down a primer, sometimes a shade coat. I'm doing a base coat, which is the base tone. I'm coming back with 2 or 3 layers of paint and lightening them up each time. So there are certain parts of those panels I've sprayed 3 times. When I paint a model, I've actually painted that model like 5 times because I've gone through it so many different layers because I'm mimicking light. So if you were to look at anime and when something's in motion and how its color changes, I'm kind of trying to replicate that. So mine on the table, a lot of models will just be static. So you're looking at it and it's like, it's a very flat, even tone to the paint. And mine's right next to it. And it looks almost like it's moving because I've done like so much work in playing with the lighting effects through paint. So it's like, instead of having a light set up, over it, it's like it's mimicking different light sources hitting it. And so I spent a lot of time on that. And I'm not the only one who does it. I think I've just got it down to a style that I can do on a repeatable basis. And I think that draws a lot of people's eye to it. So I don't want to be long-winded about it. I just think that it's worth saying that, number one, consistency. Any contest you go to, judges will always say consistency is important, because as soon as you let go of your focus and just you get lazy, you get tired, you get bored with this model by the time you finish, it shows. So that model has to show that you cared about it from the time you open the box to the time you set it on that competition table. That's consistency in a nutshell.
I like that. Muggs, you have anything since, obviously I feel like you enjoyed the Gengar. Especially when you first were doing it, I remember you were kind of this is something that's separated from Gunpla, so it wasn't such I need to get it done, but everyone's doing it, so it's not like a fear of FOMO or I need to keep up with everyone. So I felt like when you did the Gengar, it was just a Muggs. I'm just doing me, chilling, and then it just took home gold like nothing.
No, I mean, I don't think, and I mean, I mean, it was a Weekend Warrior category, so it's not like this big prestige category, but I feel like that model was the perfect, because it took me a weekend, but it was fun. It was something that I really enjoyed doing, and that just really lit that fire that this should be a labor of love, especially if you're going in that and obviously I didn't put that or make that competition ready, but it made me realize really try to marry those two ideas of have fun with what you're doing, because if you're having fun, just like what Ricky was saying, you're going to be consistent. You're going to show that love to that kit from the moment you pull the runners out of the bag to the second you put it on the table. And it will show. And so I don't know really. I mean, there was some pretty cool stuff on that table, but it was a pretty big mixed bag on what was in Weekend Warrior. But I'm just stoked that for whatever reason they chose it. That was something that I had my own touch to, and that I had fun at the end of the day building. So, but that's a totally different category. I mean, the Gunpla categories are, man, there's some stiff competition in there, but that isn't a reason not to try to, put in kits by any means, because I think there's a difference between competing and participating, and I think both are totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Participating in a competition, especially in this realm where it's Gundam is still kind of a niche within the hobby, the more representation there is of that, the better. Even down to dude, I saw at least twice as much Gunpla from retailers or vendors, this year, than last year. Last year there was one table with Gunpla, and that was it. This year there was multiple tables with Gunpla. It was all over the place. So it's just we all win if we all participate. We get to chat with each other more. We get to learn from each other. We get to see each other's work in person. And then the community surrounding models recognizes it as well. And they're like, well, okay, let's, if they're going to show up and give us their money, then let's bring some more cool shit for them to look at and buy and give them more room to do this. And because I think last year, this year we had room on the table by the end of the, everybody was putting in, but remember last year, Nickel Models was going around being can we get another fucking table, please? Can we get some more room to put our kits down?
Right.
Wow. So yeah, regardless of what you're doing it for, whether you're just putting in something to be there or you're going competition ready, just go do it.
Now, I wanted to bring up something before we jump to the second to last question. We don't worry, we gonna hit you crazy. You guys were talking about the vibe is different before we got on, and that's something I feel like that it's like you said, it's a good way. But how did you feel like in what aspect? Obviously, there was more models, or you got to see. I feel like more of the homies were there, even if some people couldn't make it. Like it just felt like when you guys were talking about it, that was something you both obviously were there to see. You both experiences. What Muggs, your second ODO, HoskinHouse. Listen, I don't know how many times you've been doing this, my guy, but you a legend. So just how was the vibe? And just like how would you describe it in both your own ways? Obviously, like HoskinHouse, you already know what ODO means to you, but this vibe here, like this, definitely seems like it was different. Even when you did the interview, Mugs, with Mecha Warehouse, that guy came up and was like, oh, like I see all these Gundams or robots on the table, and it's like we're getting some. That's cool. Like people are interested.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just like. I don't know, and Ricky will probably be able to speak more about it all, but like it was just like I don't even know if it just came down to like having more space, like more area to like be in, like it didn't feel as cramped, and that made a big difference. It was a lot more open. I think there's a handful of more people there than last year, and so it just like. And I feel like people have become more interested in ODO, because I remember last year a lot of people were saying, oh man, next year I want to go. But regardless, they're watching the videos that like Nick from Mecha Warehouse does, or they're looking at posts that people are making, and they're kind of getting, even if it's just from a distance, getting familiar with it. So it just almost felt like people were a little bit more, or I was a little bit more comfortable this year. So that helped me with that whole vibe thing. But what about you, Ricky? What do you think kind of set the vibe off?
I think you hit on a couple key things. It's funny though, like people are definitely like paying more attention. And I had a person DM me and they're like, "What's an ODO?" And I was like, "What is an ODO?" You know who you are. It's all good. I was like, "Oh,
You know who you are."
I was like, but it's a competition. I explained to him. I was like, no, they thought it was like slang for something. I'm like, no, it's an actual like competition. I was like, it's become a big deal. So people were talking about it. It has now, I think, officially become, if I'm not wrong, the biggest sanctioned IPMS contest on the entire East Coast. I think MosquitoCon in New Jersey was pretty close, and I think that ODO is there now. So much so that IPMS Nationals, which I mentioned at the beginning, is going to be in Wisconsin. Next year is in Virginia. And it's because IPMS nationally, they recognize what's going on in our region. And I actually joined our local IPMS chapter back in the fall because they are like super pumped in this area to receive Gunpla. They want to grow. They want to like transition into the future. They recognize that this is expanding beyond what they previously understood, and they know it's going to have to evolve to survive. So it's been really eye-opening for them and for us as Gunpla builders who have joined. Anyway, those people were super involved this year in making sure that Gunpla had a good representation. We had a proper amount of space. And also the new building, like last year, what I felt like the difference in vibe was last year, it seemed, the best word I can use is kind of intense, in that it was growing faster than they knew how to handle. The facility was too small. So when it is, you have all these people, it intensifies. You know, as Gunpla builders, a lot of us, and model builders in general, they're very like isolated in their hobby and like are not really great at social engagement. So you put all these people with high anxiety into a like tight, cramped space, and it's, you know, it's awkward, you know. But I think this year, the background of IPMS in this area being open, accepting, and trying to be accommodating, and then getting a bigger building, like I think those two things, like you could feel it and see it, that things were literally opening up. that the building, it felt like, because it's an old building. It's like a 100-year-old horse barn. So it's at the Richmond racetrack,
Wow.
which is our NASCAR track. But 100 years ago, it was actually a horse racing track. Like, that's what it is. It was a huge horse racing track for this area back, 100 years ago. So this is an old like barn where they used to keep all the horses. So the ceilings, it's huge, and you could walk around. It felt like you could breathe. If you understand what I'm saying, Muggs, you might agree. It's like,
Wow.
last year you get that anxiety of like, oh, you're right up cramped with people and you can't move. You're like bumping into tables and knocking people's models over, and people were coming.
Oh, that'd be uncomfortable. So yeah, man, that Steve just likes to hurt himself sometimes, and it's like I tell him, like, bro, like, it's not you, it's the plastic. It's not you, it's the plastic.
I'm about to clean this shit with Smirnoff.
Oh, delicioso. But listen, my man, Steve, do you want to go? I'll let you go first since you were injured. You wanted to ask our legend himself a couple questions. Pick his brain. Let's dissect some knowledge.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to how this guy decides, hey, I'm going to start branching out to other models and then just places. Just off rip. Like, what? What was going on there, man? Like, were you like, holy shit, I can't believe this, or what? I just wanted to ask. I was really curious.
I was kind of blown away because that whole thing started with, I was just looking for like something to build. I was at Hobbytown just grabbing models, looking for stuff that I could just do in a weekend and just kind of, cut loose, have fun, not worry about, kind of palette cleansers, mojo builders, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, oh, this little Japanese submarine is really cool. So real simple, 4 little runners. So I put it together, and I was like, it went together so well, and I painted it. And I was like, my son was like, hey, this is pretty cool, Dad. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, well, I think we'll take it. I was like thinking, well, submarines may or may not be popular, because I don't really know when it comes to ships and stuff what's popular, because some stuff is, some stuff isn't, and some stuff varies from year to year. So I took it. I was like, why not? It's also small, so I was like, I'll put it on the table. So I made a little base for it, and sure enough, they caught it for second place. And I don't even know what, because I wasn't listening halfway, like what won, that was so shocking they called it. But my son was with me. He was with me all day at ODO, and he freaked out. Like, they called the name of the sub, and he was like,
awesome.
yeah.
That's so rad.
That was worth it right there. And just that. I did also a sci-fi figure, the Scope Dog, that I did the little diorama with the cat in the snow scene. And I put that in figures, sci-fi figures, and it took third, which I was also shocked, because I don't do dioramas. Like, it's just not something I'm comfortable doing, and it's heavily weathered, which is also not something I normally do. So I took it just to put it on the table. I was like, I want to put in 2 models this year that aren't true Gundams, and just put something out there. And both of them placed, which blew my mind, because I was like, surely there's got to be stuff better than this. But I had so many compliments on that submarine, and I honestly was like, it's one of the few kits last year that I was really proud of, because it's not something I normally do. And it was a ton of fun. I was like, people should do this more. They should just go online or to their local shop and just pick something random just because it looks cool and build it. And it's like, it opens your eyes to like, oh man, it gets you excited, to build something, which for me, sometimes, I'll just, if you follow me on Instagram, sometimes I'll go through waves where I'm just pumping stuff out. And if, sometimes I'm like, oh, I just need to stop for a week. And that particular time, I'd done so many, and they were all for ODO. I just finished like 3 builds in a row. I was pushing towards that finish line, and I just wanted to do something fun. And sometimes that's the best thing, and it worked out so well, so.
I love that you had facts about it too. You were like telling me like how it's like one of the deepest subs that's gone down, besides the one that like touched the Titanic and shit like that. I was like, that was just another neat little thing where it's like, yeah, you branch out and you learn more too, which is, I think, a lot of fun. It's just learning more, not necessarily model wise, but just factual wise. It's cool.
And the funny thing is, when you enter a different category to IPMS, that's why they say like Gunpla is freedom, because there is nothing that you have to do with Gundam other than like some modeling techniques that they're going to look for, seam line removal, that sort of thing, nub removal, good painting. But like the rest of the modeling world, like you got to have reference photos and it better be historically accurate. So I did put the research in. I was like, I'm going to research what this thing is, where it's been, you know, all of these things, what it looks like coming out of the water. Like I did, I was like Google searched all of that. And I had reference photos on my bench when I was painting it because I was like, no, I know they're going to look at that stuff, especially some obscure science sub from China. Like every single other sub on that in that category was like a World War II like German sub.
Right.
You know, mine was like the only one that was like a scientific exploration sub for like deep sea.
This doesn't kill shit? What do you mean? I don't know, man. We gotta look
There's
at
no
guns
guns on it.
It's kind of cool.
No torpedoes. You know, it's just got giant arms on the front for like grabbing stuff off the ocean floor from shipwrecks.
We
and
pick
stuff.
up rocks, bro. That's what we do.
So
Oh my
that's
gosh,
that's
that's
something you
perfect.
got to look at. You learn stuff because you know the judges are going to be looking at it going, this is not a real thing. But it is a real thing.
So honestly, that helps me go to my next question. I have two, so I'm gonna give you the one that piggybacks off of Steve. I see you pushing out that work on Instagram. Follow this man. We'll do plugs at the end. Don't worry, they'll find you. What non-Gundam, I guess, model kit? Yeah, model kit. That's what I'm looking for. Would you recommend or you gravitate more to? Like I know obviously, like you experimented with the sub, but have you experimented with other genres of suits or model kits that you're like, yeah, like I would recommend this as well as a non-Gunpla build?
I've got a huge backlog of non-Gundam stuff. I know Muggs has been getting into Machine and Krieger from the show, picking up some of that stuff. And that's another one. Like, if you want to try something a little different, I mean, obviously, like I just said before, go to the store, go online, find something that you think looks cool. But another fun one as a Gundam modeler to do is like sci-fi, because sci-fi, again, there's no real-world references. Like, you could just do whatever you want, and that's fun to start with. Like, if you just want to try something, grab a Star Wars kit, grab a Machine and Krieger kit, grab whatever that looks weird, an anime kit of some variety, One Piece ship, something, and try that. But I like weird stuff, so like I like machines that are like weird. So I have a lot of kits that are like World War I stuff they were just literally taking pieces of metal and riveting them together and throwing a gun on it and be like, yeah, try this. Or an airplane where a guy is literally like belting himself onto the wing with a machine gun, and the plane like takes off, and the dude is like literally like just strapped to the wing holding machine guns. Like, these guys were
Hell
nuts.
yeah.
Like that's
Hell
like
yeah.
it
Go
took,
Industrial
it took a lot of
Revolution.
balls to go and do that. So I'm like, respect to those guys, from 120 years ago. I want to build a War One plane where a guy was strapped to the wing shooting a machine gun, because that's as die hard as it gets in my book. But just find my recommendation: find something that you think looks cool. That submarine was like a $25 kit. It was simple. It looked cool. I was like, it's $25, and I've butchered worse or more expensive kits. So what do I got to lose? Just
It's all
give it a
learning
shot.
experience.
Yeah.
So
And
going to my
if you
second one
also
now. Oh, go ahead.
say that again. I was just gonna
Oh,
say
no, you're good. You're good.
one more thing is talk to somebody if you're interested in doing a non-Gundam model. Find somebody that is good or builds in that genre and ask them, because like Gunpla, like you're gonna have kits that are better than others and brands that are better than others. Ask somebody. At the end of the day, if you want to try something different, sometimes just take a little time to ask somebody, and you'll have a better experience, moving forward building that model.
Okay. And going into Gunpla, I don't think I've asked this before. If I did, I'm sorry. What if you do watch it? Because we do know some people don't really watch it; they build it. Do you watch Gundam? And if so, what is your favorite series? Or do you gravitate more to like UC, Seed? I feel like you're more UC, but I feel like you also don't care because I do you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, you got it right. It's both. My heaviest, if I was to pick a hardcore Gundam, it would be 8th MS team, because I'm like a huge real type colors. I like warfare. I like machines and like that grittiness of the jungle. Like I like that. Like, I love Vietnam movies. My dad is a Vietnam vet. I grew up with that. Like, all about
okay.
Vietnam, like all of that, like Apocalypse Now, like it's one of my favorite movies. Like the smell of napalm in the morning, like all that stuff is that's what I grew up on. But I like UC because I like that continuing storyline of like different chapters almost, like as it evolves and different time periods. But like I have respect for all of it. Like I'm not a huge nerd on any of the series because I take them all with a grain of salt. It's just like it's anime.
Right.
Like, it's not people like pulling swords out, on each other like over which is the best like alternate universe. And I'm like, it's not really worth all that. Like it's anime. Like I like a lot of anime. It's not just Gundam. So I'm a huge One Piece fan.
Guy.
Yeah, I like
That's
One
what I
Piece.
want to hear. What was your favorite anime?
Yeah.
I just started getting into it. I'm still like 40 episodes in, and I'm like, when is it gonna get? I shouldn't
got
say
like
when is it gonna get
980
good, but
episodes to go.
I know. It's like, when is something gonna happen? Are we gonna do stuff, guys? Did you find
it's
One Piece yet?
it's a slow build because it's just been on so long. It's
I've been trying to treat it like Saturday morning cartoons. Like this is a show to like
yes.
keep kids interested for the long haul. So
Yes.
in that
And
mindset,
Gundam
it's
is
a
like
lot
that
of fun.
too. Like some Gundam series, if you think about it, that's what they are in Japan. Like they're not like we take them off serious, but they're not so much that. Some of them literally air on like Sunday mornings for like all ages. That's just what they're doing over there. But if I picked one, 8th MS team is up there. Like it's cool.
There you go. I think a lot of us will agree with you there because that's S tier. That's
Yes.
S tier. It's so good. It's gritty. It's the perfect 12 episodes.
Yep.
It finished the story. It's good. It's so good.
Yeah.
So
it all
you
builds up
don't-
to that like 2-part fight. That's just like the
Yep.
fight to end all fights. Like that's it.
And you don't need like prior knowledge really to be able to
Nope.
get in. Like all you need to know
No.
is there's a war going on. Okay, got
Yep.
it. Cool. And then you're having fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm so gassed up now. Don't get me talking about Gundam lore over here with AO with the mesh team, alright? Now, obviously, ODO is amazing. Community is the key. 3 builds that caught your eye, that you were like, I gotta shout the homies out, I love this. HoskinHouse, you want to go first, or Muggs, would you like to take the floor?
It doesn't matter to me. I'm ready though. If you need a second, Ricky, but
Yeah,
you
give me a
just let
second.
know.
Let me think about that.
Okay. So one guy that was blowing me away, and I went and chatted with him, but is let me find his Pencil Knights, as in like Knight in Shining Armor. He had 2 kits on the table. One that really stood out was the Lilfrith that had alternating between what is it like? What are the different like powers those kits go through?
Permit scores?
Permit, yeah. It would alternate between 8 and 10. So one was like, just reds, and then the other one had
what
LEDs that were going rainbow throughout a 1/44th scale. And on top of all that, it was immaculately appreciated, immaculately painted, and it was on a beautiful base with metal etched out parts. So how he was able to do this and hide everything and then I went to his Instagram and his YouTube and it's still fucking posable. He still fucking poses it. How he's able to wire all of that, paint it all, and then still pose it is fucking beyond me. So I looked at that thing for hours. So go check out Pencil Knights for sure, big time. I had followed him and known him a little bit before, but NATO over Rice. He just had, and I think he brought home first with his Bound Dock in 144th UC. Beautiful, like real time type painting, and then to find out it's all hand painted. I mean, just absolutely beautiful work. Really, really cool. So NATO over Rice was a really cool build. His Bound Dock was great, but go check out his Zaku. He just has a very clean fucking like, kind of like Ricky was saying, that like real type. Like this thing was in war, like a part of a war and not just an anime. And then, gosh, I need one more. Dude, I don't know who they are. I don't know who it was, but dude, that sweet little girl that was just so proud of her fucking master grade Sinanju.
Yes.
It just, or was it a Zazabi? I think it was a Zazabi. Just absolutely warmed my heart, and like the hand even broke on it. She's like, the hand broke, but my dad glued it, so it's there. And it was just like, kiddo, this looks fucking amazing. Don't even stress about it. Like, you got a master grade on the table, kid. That is so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, and quick shout out too to our I will also say seeing Austin from Undergated podcast. He had a couple of works on the table that were just a fucking joy to see, as well as CD. That him and Coop and Austin all had this whole little diorama together, and I think they
Stealing
played.
mine now.
That
He's
thing was
stealing
cool
mine.
as hell.
You steal mine.
Thanks a lot, Muggs. You're going too far.
Oh shit! Sorry. And then this and this. But it was just, and I think it just adds that like Austin is just a fucking absolute ray of sunshine, and to be able to like, he had just no problem talking about his processes and what he enjoys of it and all of this, and so yeah, big shout out to Austin from the Undergated and the rest of those boys. They brought home some golds and stuff, so shout out to them for sure.
That's nice. That's what I like to see. Ricky, whenever you're ready, my guy, lay it down.
So yes. Austin and Coop. Coop is one of my good friends. He lives in Newport News from the Undergated podcast. He's been coming to ODO for years, and he and I have been friends for years. And just every time I see him, I always just give him a hug. We talk. He comes to local events here too, but pretty tight. We'll always try and talk to each other, on a weekly basis. But seeing that group build from the Undergated podcast was so great. Like seeing on the display table for the new category, because this year there was a new category for Gundams on bases. So it was nice that they came and brought, each of them had their own model, and they put it on that base with the Undergated podcast. It was really cool. Like that was inspirational to see. So I'm thinking, Goonies, you guys need to step it up and get your little group together for ODO next year. Ship them out if you don't come. That was really cool. Muggs, you mentioned Kevin, which is Nato over Rice.
Okay,
Kevin, I've known for a long time too. He's like one of the most humble, generous people you ever meet. Who actually won Best Gundam. So that Bandog won Best Gundam as well. Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
And so it is 100% hand finished, textured. It looked like it had been just sitting for like 1,000 years, like it was a relic that had been forgotten about, and just was stationary and just like stone, like it had just turned to stone. And it was really cool. He does amazing work. He had a bunch of stuff in the Machine Krieger. Whatever area that is, I always forget what category all those guys put that stuff into. But he was back there. Which brings me to another build. My friend Jay, he is in the Army. He comes out every year and puts out phenomenal work. He's getting ready to go to Korea for 6 months on duty, and he won first place. His Machine Krieger build, it was a Stingray diver, and it was first place. It was absolutely beautiful. It was gray. And I don't know if you saw it, Mugs, back where all those Machine Kriegers was. It was he hand sculpted. It was like a rock base out of foam, and it was like diving down towards the rocks. And sorry. And it was amazing. And I felt really bad because he built his first airplane kit. A lot of people were trying to branch out this year. He built a British Spitfire fighter from World War II, big 1/32 scale. He put it on the table. He broke the wheels off, bringing it to the show, and he could not. He was running around when he got there looking for glue. He had to go to a vendor and buy glue. He couldn't get it fixed. And it just laid on the competition table with its wheels just on the paper. And I felt so bad for him. When they called his name for first place for that Machine Krieger kit, I was so happy for him, because I was like, man, you've been redeemed. Like, I know that was crushing. So like,
hell yeah.
He spent months working on that airplane just to have the wheels break off, and I felt so good for him. And that build deserved it. Like, it was so good. And just a special shout out, because there were so many great builders and just great people there this year. As far as Gundams go, some stayed dry, who also, I don't think he airbrushes. He built that little Hello Kitty Zaku, and he bedazzled it, and it was like kawaii style. And it was so cool. It was completely different than anything on the table, and it was like a little beacon of light there on the table because it was just really awesome. That guy is so cool, and he's so nice. And chatting with him, and I was like, man, keep doing what you're doing because, those are the type of people like you have all the different people who go all crazy like traditional gunpla building styles, and you got people who just come out of left field thinking outside the box and do something totally creative, and you're like, man, that is so cool. I would never have thought of that in a million years, and you nailed it. Like, it was cool. There's a lot of stuff like that.
Another shout out to him too, because his dioramas, man, all the attention was on the little Hello Kitty, and I didn't know that one of his dioramas was there, and then he told me at the end. I was like, that was fucking you. And then just the other day, I realized another one of the dioramas that were on the table was his too, and like, fucking, I don't know, man. He's a fucking phenomenal artist. Like from his photography too, like he'll just post random cool photography shots that he takes, like at a laundromat or some shit, and I'm always just like, that dude is a fucking artist, and he's an absolute fucking gem.
And you can tell when you talk. You can tell when you talk to him. He's just got that vibe, and he's just so chill. And then you talk to him, you're like, everything he does. He's just got that. He's got that creative eye for it, and so he produces stuff that is just you would never think of. Like that one diorama, I think it was in the Mecca Warehouse interview on their vlog. Was, it was like railroad train buildings from like. That's what he bought. It was like the little buildings you put on your railroad train set, and like he put them into his Zaku diorama, and it was perfect. Like it fit so well. It was like. Almost perfectly to scale. It was great. He was like, "Oh, I've never done this before." And I was like, "Okay."
I know, man. It's just cool, like, bro. Keep going, then, dude. Because, geez, like, yeah, man, he's an artist through and through, man. I love his work.
God, man. Well, I listen. Just now, I'm putting it out there. ODO 2025. You're gonna see Gump Lagoon there. I got a compressor. I got airbrushes. I'm gonna have a spray booth, and I'm gonna have some plastic to throw on the table, and I just want to participate, baby. That's the name of the game. Steve, before we get the hell out of here, anything you wanted to pick my awesome guy Ricky's brain about, man, or we letting him free to his family?
I think we should let him free. It is Sunday.
I mean, I guess, bro. Well, without further ado, Ricky, where can people find you at, bro?
HoskinHouse on Instagram, all one word, no underscore, HoskinHouse, and that's it. That's where I am. Oh, and the Goonies Discord.
See any other accounts
when I have time.
Oh, let's go. In the Discord, baby.
Shout out.
Listen, if you find any other spots, Facebook, that's not him. All right.
Nope.
I don't want to see it's the real Ricky. No.
I already told you. That's my cousins. Don't message him. Don't ask him for pictures. It's not me.
It's not me, man. Muggs, where can people find you at?
You can find me at Instagram at the real Ricky, or I don't know, man, maybe like Hoskin Home. That sounds. I like that.
Oh, okay.
No, you can find me. Yeah, you can always find me Mean Mug _ Gumpla. Yeah.
Steve, where can people find you cutting your finger at?
I was just going to say, you can find me at the local urgent care because I can't stop putting holes in my fingers.
Are you bleeding again?
Yeah, it's still bleeding, but that's because I'm doing some fucking stupid, what do they call that? Waist extension shit or whatever.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Yeah, dude, I'm trying to go all out on this gear dog. Anyways, that's for another time. You can find me at XXL_new type on Instagram.
Please follow our Lord and Savior at a Grandfather Goose.
Always.
Hope you getting loose, baby. Always. Don't. If you ain't always, we don't know who you are. And I don't know his whip channel, but follow his work in progress channel too, because it's got a lot of letters and numbers in it. Follow me, Gump Lagoon. I just post anime reels about my favorite anime, but now I'm a painter, so watch out for me on the block.
All over for
please.
us.
It's over, bro. Oh, what do you want to chime in?
I got one more thing. I want people to
ahead.
tell us what they want to see us as a group build do for
Oh,
ODO.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Shit.
Ricky, give us a suggestion, and
It's out there
we
now.
leave it up to listeners too. So
Well, you guys have
Damn.
to you have to agree on a series or something that you can all. It's got to be a theme. So Maybe not a series.
Yeah,
even.
all right.
It's got to be a theme. You got to pick a theme.
We're just gonna go Gundam Breaker 4, bro. Gundam Breaker 4.
there you
We
go.
just throw all our suits in there, and I'm a win because God Gundam's the best. So without further ado, you follow the Goonies. And man, thank you again, Ricky, for blessing
Yes,
us, bro.
thank
It's
you
been a
so
pleasure.
much.
You're,
Thank you guys.
listen,
Anytime. I'm
you
here
know what
every
they say,
Sunday
third
night.
time's a charm.
Yeah,
Third time's a charm. Listen, we'll bring you on again.
I'm in this room every Sunday night anyway. The same.
Let's go. Oh my God. Without further ado, I want to give you an ooh-woo and we'll get the hell out of here. Thank you guys, and bye-bye.
Bye.